the template that you use most days in everyday math in our classroom. And so when we look at it, you can see there's a half protractor, there's a full protractor, and then over here, this is a percent circle. So today's lesson, this screencast or video for tonight, we're just going to look at how do we go about using this to figure out the percentages of a circle. So if you look at the first one here, I've just shaded in, I just randomly drew some lines here and divided it into parts, and then I shaded it different colors. So let's just look at how to use this tool in order to figure out what percent each color is of the entire circle. So the first thing you want to do is line up the percent circle so that the very center where the hole is there lines up with the center of the circle. And then making sure that one of the lines, and it really doesn't matter where you start. So for this particular example, I'm starting right here. I lined up my 0% with this line right here. So once I see that I have that lined up, then I'm going to move to the right. So as you know from using the half protractor, it depended on where you lined up the protractor, you might be going to the left or you might be going to the right. But in this case, you're going to go in the same direction each time. So if I line this up with 0, I'm going to move to the right, and I can see that the next line is right here, which is 10%. So I'm going to say that, I'll just write this out here, that this part of it is 10% of the circle. So purple is 10%. Now here's the only thing you have to keep in mind that might make this a little bit tricky is if you come back here and line it up again and line up your 0 with the same line and then try to figure out this next one, you might think that the green portion of it is 25%, when in fact it's not. So what you have to do then is just keep rotating your percent circle so that the next line lines up with 0. So I'm going to have to find that center spot, and I'm going to rotate it until, let's see if I get this lined up just right, until that line lines up with 0. And now I'm looking over here and I see that that line is really at about 15%. So the green is about 15%. And I'm being kind of careful to not move my paper around. I would probably normally move my paper around, but because I'm trying to record this in a very interesting, improvising in the way that I record this with my iPad. I'm trying to keep the paper in the same spot, but you could certainly move your paper around. Okay, so I'm lining up that hole with the center of my circle, and right now, as you can see, I'm lining up with, oops, didn't mean to move that. Let me go back to, I lined up with 90 and not 0. So I'm looking for where is my 0. There it is. So let's line up the center, that hole with the center of your circle, and make sure that line is right about where 0 is. And then we're looking for the next line where the end of, I think that's red or pink, I'm not sure. So it's right here, which would be 25%. And if you look at that, that looks like it makes sense. It looks like a quarter of the circle. Okay. So let's just keep going. Lining it up this time, there's my 0. And if I look to the end of the orange shaded section, it's 20%. And the last one we could do without even measuring, but let's go ahead and do that. Measure it just to get the practice. Lining up the center of my circle with the center of the percent circle tool, lining it up with 0, and then we look at the blue shaded section and it's about 30%. All right, so one of the things we have to make, one of the ways that we can try to check and see if we measured correctly is that these all have to add up to 100%. So we've got 30, 50, 75, 90, and 10 makes 100. So yes, in fact, those do add up to 100%. So we know that that is probably pretty close. All right, so let's do that one more time. I'm gonna see if I can rotate my paper and still make sure this gets in the video, so I'll try it. So let's just move the paper around a little bit. Hopefully that you can still see that. And if I line up the center of my percent circle with the center of the circle, starting with 0, let's go right here. Let's start with the orange. So if I look, that's about, let's see, to get under here and take a look myself. So this is 25, 26, 27, about 28%. Okay, so mixed it up a little bit with this one just to make it a little bit more interesting. And I'm just going to rotate the paper. Let's see if I can scooch this over so it's in the video. There we go. And let's go for the purple section next. Lining up a 0. Almost there. Close enough. All right, and this one looks to be, pretty close to 25. Let's just call it 25%. And then let's go for the green. Lining up a 0. Oops, got the wrong one. Lining up a 0. There we go. And it's about 10% that's green. You can see right here, this is where the line is. It's about 10%. Let's see what the yellow is. Okay, and yellow is pretty close to 25%. Okay, let's just stop right here and figure out another way that we can figure out this last one without even using our percent circle. So let's try it and then check it with the percent circle. So if I start to add these up, I've got 25 and 25 over here is 50. Oops, we scooch that in. There we go. 25 and 25 are 50. And then we have 60, and come over here, we have 88. So if we think about the full circle would be 100%, and if we subtract 88 from that, 12. So this should be about 12%. So let's come back over here and measure this last one. Okay, starting there, and yeah, it's pretty close to 12%. So again, we just want all of those to add up to being 100%.